Oh, that's the same Hebrew.
Of course, yeah, I was going to say, it's not religious at all. They have these beautiful Torah covers, are really beautiful.
They look like that.
They're relatively new, yes.
So there's 4 different scrolls.
So we have 4 scrolls,
And why are there 4?
They're at different places.
just because.
And wait.
No.
It's huge.
I'm looking at it, yeah.
You need one scroll, but most
Are they
synagogues have more than
identical?
one. Yes,
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
some are bigger and some are smaller.
But all the
Okay.
words are identical. But they'll also usually keep them at different places, so you don't have to roll through the whole thing to get to
Oh,
where
okay,
you need to
chapter
get
1,
to.
chapter 2, but you have 3. so-
And they're not marked, chapter 1,
They're not
chapter
matched.
2.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
It's very difficult. This is the gentleman who does read our Torah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's
We
really-
were trying to tell
Okay.
him,
And
I
they
told
must
him
be
there were no
big.
chapter 1s or chapter
They're
2s
very-
listed in there.
and
So
so
I
at
can't
the
find
end,
where you're
like, you're
supposed
supposed to,
to
like,
go.
lift
It's not
it up.
so easy.
So does one
Show
person hold
everybody.
it, or does one person hold it and read it?
So when we read it, we lay it, when it's being read, it gets laid down on top of this.
Okay.
And so, and then you read it, you don't actually use your finger, you touch it with a special thing, because you're.
Don't want to get your body, yeah, because they're old and sacred.
Yep.
And this is
This is the prayer.
oh,
prayer
it's in
books.
English.
It's got English and Hebrew.
Okay.
And this one.
Yeah, in growing
Yeah,
up
it's got,
Catholic,
like,
we had Latin in English.
Yeah, so these books will all have the Hebrew, this is the translation, and then you get commentary.
Oh,
And
okay.
all this extra stuff to read when you get bored. So this is the, what, they have these at the seats too. And this is the, so this is what the Hebrew and the Torah is, but.
Can you read this?
Oh yeah, I can read this, but in the scroll, it doesn't, you see these dots below?
Yeah.
Those are the vowels. So the big blocks are the consonants, and the vowels are below here. It doesn't have any of those vowels, right? So this word here is lahem, and this is l. Below it is a, and then this is h.
How
and this
long
is
did
eh,
it
and
take
so
you
on.
to learn to read?
I did it when I was a kid.
Yeah, when you were a
Seems
kid.
weird, so who knows?
Well, I mean, that's when I learned Latin as a kid. You didn't give a hoot.
Yeah, but if it didn't have those vowels, you know, it could have been lahim, it could have been, you know, you can put other like vowel things there, and you just have to know that then that's that word. So yeah, and that's kind of what it is. This is actually the anyway. It's
Now, are there similarities between your Torah and the Catholic Bible? or-
It's the same. I mean, so the first 5 books, Genesis,
same.
Exodus, yeah, those first 5 are all the same. And then we go, so this, then we have prophets are mixed in with here. Are sort of mixed in a bit. But it's Leviticus, it's Deuteronomy,
Yeah, I mean,
Numbers. Yeah, I mean, it's all the same through the first 5, and then we have prophets and all that.
but
So
you don't
it's-
have a New Testament.
There's no New Testament yet. Yeah. So it all stops. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I was an altar boy, so I had to learn Latin only to.
I would be able to do that.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. I did the incense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, but we never really understood it. You just. Yeah, you need the basic. So with the east, on each side, All you grandkids, grab Oliver. Don't worry about that. You're gonna get this from talk to Rabbi. Rabbi's gonna be organized. Hurry. Rabbi, you're definitely making stands here.
You all want to come up to the right side? Over here. There's a couple of prayer books. You can move those out of the way.
What page is that, Shani?
I'm going to tell you.
Oh, sorry.
So 183?
That is one version of it.
Which page are we on, Ollie?
It's working.
That way you can be down there.
What?
Yeah, I can't see anybody. Oh, man.
Grab that part. That's
Yeah, but then nobody can see you.
check. Hello? Hello, hello. If I want to say something nasty about someone, I just press this button. I know.
Yeah, Jason, stop saying nasty.
Can you believe what that one relative is wearing?
Is it rubbing off?
Yeah.
Just reliving it.
Hey.
What page is it?
I don't know.
21? 181?
181. I was so close. I was 2 pages off.
I see you flipping 100. Hey, Abad, you know how we're going? Here it is. Just follow
Yeah.
You could put it up here, you could put it here. It's easiest for you, and just watch the. 'Cause all you need to do is
I do.
Is
I do
the-
Osprey
yeah.
all the time.
Okay.
It's my best one. I know.
Oh, it's this one? Oh, yeah, just the first one. So this is it.
Don't read the translation.
Which page is this?
You're going to be on
It's
289.
181.
So we,
It's 181.
this community never fails to amaze me, quite frankly. We have 5 or 6 inches on the ground of the snow. We had the ice last week. We couldn't do our Sunday thing as usual. We've been anticipating what might happen. Thankfully, everything happened yesterday, because if it was a blizzard, that might be a little bit harder today. We've got people clearing, out in the parking lot. You all made it from various places. Our congregants have made it in, several of you, to help make a minyan and just make sure we're all here. And I will let you know, Rabbi Rose from the temple texted me this morning and said, I have a Subaru. If you need help with a minyan, please let me know. So I'm just letting you know that, and there are people watching from far away. Thank you all for joining us. But I want to, again, acknowledge my colleague and thank him for offering that. I told him I think we're doing all right, and we sure are. We thought we would not do any food, but because Barry can't make it in, but Sue and Rhonda are in the kitchen making it all happen. It's an amazing community. So anyone who's from far out of town, you want to move here, I highly recommend it. Because we don't usually get 5 inches of snow, but we do have still an amazing community, even without the 5 inches of snow. So, I'm thrilled that we could be here together. And I know it was a little bit hairy, but everyone has pulled together. And really what we're doing today is marking the completion of the first 30 days. It's been just a couple of days past the first 30-day period of mourning in Jewish tradition. And they're markers, right? The 7 days of Shiva are the first most emotional and difficult days. Then we kind of raise up from that, and for the next basically 23 days after that, we have this Shloshim, this 30-day period of mourning where we go back to work, we go back to our routines, but yet we are still in a state of mourning. And then when we reach that 30 days, that's another marker for us of kind of a next step of moving forward. And it's a time where we still deeply feel the loss of the person that we love, of our beloved, of John in particular today. But we recognize that, like Shiva, that those first 7 days, we have to take a new step forward in the grieving process. And that's what this is about. It's kind of being able to get together. We know we didn't have a formal funeral, so this is our opportunity for family, for friends, for congregants, for grandkids. I love it. To be able to honor John's memory and to be here to help the family and help all of us move forward in that grieving process. So although we feel a sense of loss today, we mourn a death of a very special person, but we gather to celebrate John's life. And so that's what, if you came in and you saw the pictures everywhere and kids and everything, it really is, in our tradition, a celebration of one's life, not just a marking of one's death. So we're going to begin, if you find the red book in front of you, not on the side of you, but in the holder, you will see, you might, if you're in the front row, you might need to grab it from behind you. There's a few of them not in the right place. But it is the Siddur Lev Shalem that you should see on the front. I'm going to grab one as well here. I didn't even grab my regular one. And we're going to begin with the afternoon service, the Mincha service, the afternoon. Of course, we have a morning, an afternoon, and an evening. We have formal liturgy for each of those days. And so if you turn to page 289, that's where you will find Ashrei. And Ashrei is a psalm. And psalms, of course, connect us to how our ancestors feel at certain times. Ashrei itself means happiness. And again, it points us toward looking at the happy times, the joyful times that we spent with John in particular as we gather today. So page 289, all of our grandchildren have the honor of helping us with Ashrei. As you'll begin.
Shrei Yoshvei Veitecha Odechelu Chasela.
Ashreham shekacha lo, Ashreham shadonai Eloha.
Tehillah LeDavid
Melech, Bavarcha Shimcha Leolam Va'ed.
B'chol yom avarchecha, v'yahal shimcha leolam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai Chol Me'od V'ligdulato Ein Heker.
Dor lador yishabech ma'asecha, ugvaratecha yagidu.
Hadar Kevod Hodecha V'divyu Asicha.
Ve'azuz norotecha yomeru, ugdulatcha asafrena.
Zecher Rabtucha Yabe'u V'tzidkatcha Yiranenu.
Chanun barachum Adonai, erapapai migdal chesed.
Tov Adonai Lekol V'rachaman Al Kol Ma'asav.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'hasidecha yivarchucha.
Kevod Malchutcha Yomeru Uvratcha Yedaberu.
L'hodia livnei ha'adam gevirotav, uchvod hadar malchuto.
Malchutcha Malchut Kol Olamim U'Memshaltecha B'Kol Dor Vador.
Somech Adonai l'chol hanoflim, v'zokef l'chol hakfufim.
Ein Echol Ucha Yaberu V'ata noten lachem et ochlam be'ito.
Poteach et yadecha, maspia l'chol chai ratzon.
Tzadik b'choroi b'chol derva V'chasid b'chol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai l'chol korav, l'chol asher yikra'u be'emet.
Ritzon Yireah v'aseh V'et shavatam yishma v'yoshiem.
Shomer Adonai et kol ahavav, v'et kol sha'im yashmid.
Tehillat Adonai yedaber pi V'yorech kol basar shem kodsho li'olam va'ed.
Va'anachnu nevarech ya, me'ata v'yad olam, hallelujah.
Thank you all. We're going to get you guys back up here a little bit later for Aleinu to help with the ark, so you all can take a seat. Very good job. Wow. Like I said, if you'd like to move here, come on. You want to do from here? So you'll find Chatzi Kaddish over on page 290.
Yet gadol v'yit kadash shemei rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divarach yiruteviam lich malchute. B'chayechanu v'yamechon uv'chayedecho bet Yisrael. Bahagala, ubizman kariv, v'yimeru.
Amen.
Yehi shmei rabba mevorach, le'olam olal me'almaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitvar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekudasha. B'richu le'lo min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amihiram v'alma. V'yimeru. Amen.
We now rise for the Amidah, for our prayer, where you will find a succession of blessings that we recite. We'll begin together on 291 and 292 through 293 together, and then when we have silent time, you're welcome to read the words on the page, the sources, add your own personal thoughts to those that you are reading, and certainly when you're through, you're welcome to be seated. We begin together, page 291.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel chasadim tovim v'konei hakol. V'zocher chasdei avot. Umevi goal livnei v'neihem. Leman shema b'yahava. Melech ozer u'mashiach u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai. Magen Avraham. V'efrei tzara. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai. Mechayei metim atarav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach umarid hagashem. Mechakel chayim bechesed. Mechayei metim berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofech oholim. Umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot umido mehelach. Melech memi tu mechaye umatzmiach Yeshua ne'eman atah chayot metim. Baruch atah Adonai Echayim hametim.
293.
Nekadesh et shemcha b'olam kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marov kakatuv al yad neviyecha v'kara zeh el zeh v'yamar. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech kol haaretz kivodo, L'matam Baruch Yomeru,
Baruch Yevod Adonai
Mim Kovra, Ubdivrei Kachaka Katuv Lemor, Yimloch Adonai Leolam, Elohai Yiktzion, Lidor Vador, Hallelujah. Lidor Vador, Nagi Gadlecha, Netzach Netzachim Kedushatcha Nakdish, V'shivcha Eloheinu, Apinu Lo Yemush Leolam Va'ed, Ki El Melech Gadol V'Kadosh Ata Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue silently 294. So one of the things we have the opportunity to do whenever we gather, certainly in the context of our prayer services, is to share an El Malei Rachamim, which is our memorial prayer that certainly recited at graveside and other occasions when we gather and we pause to remember, as this is the 30th day, it's appropriate we can do that as we have the opportunity to be here together and remember John. So I'll chant the traditional El Malei Rachamim. I'll ask if you're able to rise as we do so. El Malei Rachamim Shochen B'Meromim Hamse Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Ashchina B'Ma'alot Kedoshim U'Toharim Kezohar Mazhirim Et Nishmat John Moore Shahalach Lolamo V'Gan Eden Tehei Menuchato Ana Baal Harachamim Hastirehu B'Seter Kenafecha Leolamim Utzror B'Tzror HaChayim Et Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalato V'Yanuach B'Shalom Amishkavo V'Nomar Amen. Exalted God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of John Moore, who has gone to his eternal home. God of mercy, we ask that you remember all the worthy and righteous deeds of care and concern that he performed in the land of the living. May his soul continue to touch our souls and thus be bound up in the bond of life everlasting. May Adonai be his portion. May he always inspire us to attain dignity and holiness in our lives. May he rest in peace, and together we say, Amen. We remain standing as we continue with Kaddish Shalem.
Yitgadal v'kadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamadi v'rachirte v'yamlich maltute v'chayachol mi'lemichon v'chayedechol beit Yisrael b'agalav izman krivim eru.
Amen.
Yehesh shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olam me'almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitshman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha. Le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damihiram b'alma v'imaru amen. Titkad bal tziloch kahon uv uthon dechol beit kadosh avuhon di bishmaya v'yomer amen. Yeheshle Rabbah mevorach Me'olam olam me'almaya. Hang on a second. Yehesh Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imeru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimrumav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru. Amen.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru, amen. You are welcome to be seated. Have the opportunity before we go into the concluding part of the service certainly to share some thoughts and words. And I know you have a handout which has a little biography. It's back in the back. Okay. So that certainly has information for those of us who know John from this context of the synagogue, but maybe not know his background. But I know that we have Daniel have some words to share, and Jason, I'll let you introduce whose words you are sharing. If you want to keep that on and you want to go up here, we need a microphone to make sure people can hear you. So either keep the mic on or and come down or stand up, whichever you want to do.
I have a teacher voice, Rabbi.
I know, but the live stream won't pick you up without that.
That's true. Oh, that's very well. That's
Yeah,
very true.
it's not my first rodeo, I know.
It's your first rodeo.
Gotta know how it all electronically works.
Good afternoon to everybody, and to those of you who are live streaming. My name is Jason Moore. That is the first time I've done Kaddish Shalem out loud in a very long time. But I appreciate all of you guys that made it here today, and I know that there were so many, many more that moved heaven and earth to get here, and were not able to make it. Dad and I used to attend events like this, and I always told Dad that I thought the purpose of speaking was a good time to settle scores with everybody. But I think through the weather, my father has just about settled all the scores that he had with everybody in this family and everywhere else around as well. But I'm actually not speaking today. I have the honor of speaking on behalf of one of those very close friends and family, Steve Nation, who's a lifelong friend of my father. So if you can have a look at me and just imagine 6'4", broad shoulders, Steve Nation. So here are his remarks that he dearly wanted to be here to deliver. Hello, I'm Steve Nation, longtime friend of Johnny. I met Johnny close to the time we both were entering the 5th grade in 1956. John and his family, including 3 younger siblings, had just moved here from northern Alabama. Our community was Boynton, Georgia. It had a country store, a service station, and 2 churches, one Baptist and one Methodist. The store had a Coke machine and 2 benches out front. Cokes were 6 cents. Inside the store was a whole aisle, mostly of penny candy, which cost 1 penny. I saw Johnny for the first time on his bike. I pulled up beside him on my bike, and we stopped to talk. I liked his bike. It was one that originally came from Sears, like mine, not a fancy Schwinn or an English bike. Since we were both headed to the store, we decided to talk there. And on one of those benches, we talked and told each other about our families. I was always envious of his having 2 brothers. I only had sisters. And I noticed that Johnny asked a lot about our school, our teachers, and other kids from our class. What I didn't know then was that it would be the beginning of the longest and best friendship I would ever have. We spent a lot of time together through grammar school and high school in Ringgold. Johnny was always in competition for head of the class scholastically. He was certainly the smartest and most academic friend I ever had. I think one of the biggest disappointments Johnny ever had was being inched out for class superlative of most likely to succeed. I believe Johnny was motivated by this, and it set him on a hyper course to make up for this in real life. Johnny was always very competitive. After high school, we went on different paths for college and military service, and were not able to stay in good contact for several years. I reconnected with Johnny after we both finished our military service. We were both living in the North Atlanta suburbs. I was dating Bambi, who would become my sweet wife. About the same time, Johnny met someone new and exciting. He couldn't wait to introduce her. It was Jimmy, who a little later became his beautiful bride. We became very close as couples. We enjoyed rafting on the Chattahoochee River several times. We attended John and Jimmy's small family wedding. We enjoyed meeting Jimmy's mother and father there, and it looked to be the happiest day of Johnny's life when he married Jimmy. She completed him. Bambi was so envious of their married life. We were married ourselves about a year later. Johnny's talents were always obvious. He was working at CNS Bank in downtown Atlanta in a management training program when he helped 2 Robinson and Humphreys employees research and write a paper on bank stocks. The paper was published and became an overnight success, so much so that one of the Robinson Humphrey executives called to ask who was this John Moore that was listed in the credits of the paper. And when told, the executive said to hire him before the end of the day. Over both our child-rearing days, we four played many Saturday night card games at each other's homes. This allowed for us to watch over each other's children. John and Jimmy always made us feel like part of their family. We attended their children's religious ceremonies and their weddings. Johnny was always successful in his scholastic ambitions and in his business occupations. John loved to eat at fine restaurants, but he never ate much humble pie. He had much to be proud of, and he wanted others to know about it. He wanted students from his small town in Ringgold to know that they could succeed too. He donated Wall Street Journal subscriptions to Ringgold High School economic class students. Johnny was even more proud of his children and all of their accomplishments. Nothing ever made him more proud, however, than his beautiful grandchildren. It was always like show and tell whenever the subject of grandchildren was ever brought up. Pictures and reports of each one. Johnny was also so very proud of having a wife as fine as Jimmy. She was truly the light of his life, and I am sure that while he didn't always make her life easy, he loved her more than she can imagine. He gave her credit so often for making him and keeping him the man that he was. Having her as his life partner was his greatest accomplishment of all, and he knew it. John Byron Moore was one of a kind and a great friend, but he will always be Johnny to me. So I do want to thank Mr. Nation, who is still Mr. Nation to me, not Steve, for allowing me to read his words and introduce my brother, Daniel Moore, to give a few more remarks.
Is it on?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mr. Nation. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jason, for reading Mr. Nation's words, who also will always be Mr. Nation to me in there. So thank you, everybody. When I was a teen, my dad told me that days that are all about you, whether they're good days like a bar mitzvah, an award, or a wedding, or something like that, or if they're bad days like a court hearing, that those are really good days to just keep quiet and let others do the talking. So I'm really glad that he's taking his own advice today. I'd also, if anybody knows the story behind that court hearing part of the advice, I would love to hear that one. So when I think about my dad, I'm drawn to the idea that for him, a life well lived is this life of many. He had many communities, many friends, and many adventures. He was an Air Force medic, student, securities analyst, mentor, volunteer, Kiwanis Rotary, and Habitat. He was a traveler, a lifelong learner, a golfer, an educator, and more. He was a son, a brother, a husband, a father, a grandfather, an uncle. My dad lived many, many lives. And so I've long appreciated the approach that my dad had to life. So for most of his life, he saw a lot of humor, particularly in the absurd part of life. So one of the last jokes my dad told me when I was here a week before he passed, we were sharing some jokes together, and he said, do you know why you can't hear pterodactyls use the bathroom? Because the P is silent, which is a very perfect like John Moore joke. You get the pun / dad joke part of it, the groan, which my kids and wife and I were reading a book, and you may groan at the dad jokes, and you may really know, like, you're really going to miss them when they're not there. Right, Joni? So you get the pun and the dad joke, the groan of that, you get the potty humor, and you get the pterodactyls, which when we were growing up, anytime we would go see a movie, my dad would always, he'd describe the movie and say, and then in the end, the pterodactyls came in and killed everybody and ate everybody up. And then Jurassic Park came out. And that actually happened. We had to go see it. So in addition to the humor, he also saw meaning in the absurd parts of life. So for many of us, we need to know that in our confusing, wonderful, traumatic, and exciting experience that we have in life, that we need to know that we have people that care about us, and that we make a difference in the world, and that we continue to make a difference even after, so that we leave a wake in our path. So I often talk with Dad about how he saw his family and his friends and his involvements, and as we heard, his grandkids, as his legacy, his wake in his life. The Torah even says this loudly, that we need these things. Very early on, in the second chapter of Genesis, it says, it is not good for human to be alone. We cannot be alone. And Dad knew that happiness, meaning, fulfillment, blessing, and the gifts of a life well lived are generally found beyond himself, so in the relationships and the families and the communities that he served. Which brings me back to just think about the many lives that Dad lived in, and how in the beginning, the middle, and the end, he was surrounded by loved ones, and he brought his love and interest and passions to those around him. Though he's thankfully following his advice today and keeping quiet, I think volumes are spoken by the wake he's left through life, by people in this room, by people that weren't able to make it today, by what he's done. And I'm hopeful that as the Yizkor prayer, the prayer that we say when we remember him, as it compels us to do, I'm hopeful that we can continue the work and the legacy of his life as we continue ours. Thank you.
Happy to, if there's somebody who wanted to share a memory that they haven't had a chance to do, wanted to share it in this context, certainly we can continue to do it out in the back. But if there's anyone who had something they wanted to add briefly, I'm happy to open the floor. Just always give the opportunity to do that. But if you think of something that you want to make sure people hear about, then feel free to certainly share it in the back. So we, in a few moments, we're going to go into the end of the Mincha service, this afternoon service. And we end it very simply with Aleinu and with a Kaddish. It's a very simple service today. And as is our custom, we're going to rise in just a moment, and we'll open the ark. The ark is open, the doors are open, but we're going to open the curtain. And, of course, you can see through right now, but this is where our beautiful Torah scrolls are kept. We have our 4 Torah scrolls. As Daniel just kind of mentioned, actually, the Torah, of course, is our source for all Jewish learning. It's a symbol, if you will, of the relationship that we have with God, of the importance of education, and the responsibilities that we have as Jews to make the world a better place. So I think those of you who know John, and certainly I think even the words you both just shared from Steve Nation and from your words, Daniel, that know that John, although he wasn't formally Jewish, he raised a Jewish family. That is clear sitting here today. And he connected himself to the Jewish values of learning and of making the world a better place through his wisdom, through his advice, through his just walking the world the way he walked it. And just in the few years that I've had the chance to get to know him, he regularly attended our Sunday morning adult class, and some of you are here who are in that class and attended regularly. You know that he would always add his thoughts to our discussions, and he certainly would be happy to share his sense of humor with us. It was not probably one Sunday that didn't go by that he didn't share some pun or some joke or something that would usually bounce off the material that we were studying. And it was clear to me, and certainly he was here for other holidays, other things that we all did together, not just Sunday mornings. And so it's clear to me that he valued learning, first off, and learning of all kinds, and that he valued his sense of humor. And those of you who attend the class on Sunday mornings, you know I had 2 rules. There are 2 rules I had for attending the class. You could not come unless, what was the first one? No matter what the topic was, it didn't matter. The first one, you had to have an open mind. Yep, Michelle is good. You know the rule, Michelle. You have to have an open mind. That was number 1. And what's the second rule? You have to have a sense of humor. Well, I think you know that John fulfilled both requirements to attend the class quite beautifully. And we will miss him sharing both of those elements, his open mind, his quick wit, and his ability to add to our discussion with both seriousness and humor, and his learning with us. The rabbis of the Talmud commented on the death of our patriarch Jacob in a specific way. And they said, they taught, Yaakov Avinu lo mate. Our father Jacob did not die. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What the rabbis, our sages say? They went on to say, Mazar o b'chayim, afhu b'chayim. Just as his children are living and flourishing today, so is he still alive. That's what they say about our patriarch Jacob. And I know that family was very important to John and very valued by him. And the fact that you all made it here in a snowstorm, no doubt, right, speaks to the dedication and to the love that you have for your father, for your husband, for your grandfather, brother, and friend. And certainly for us as a fellow congregant, for those of us here who knew him in that context. So John lives on in all of us, and in all of you, as you pause to remember whatever celebrations you are saying or you are enjoying together, and think about those celebrations you shared with him. He's remembered whenever you laugh and you smile together, whenever you learn something new, whenever you share a joke, especially a dad joke, right? Potty joke, I guess. Those were his criteria for good jokes. And certainly, I think, no doubt, with all of you sitting here, when you affirm the importance of family, because John wouldn't have it any other way. So we say, Zichrono livracha, may the memories of this special man be a source of comfort, of inspiration, of laughter, and of blessing to all of you, to his family, his extended family, all of his friends, and to all who were privileged to know him on his journey through life. And together we say, Amen. Now ask if you will turn to page 301 as we are going to rise as the ark is opened, and I'd like to ask all of the grandchildren if you'll come forward. Jason, if you'll come forward to lead us in Aleinu. If you'll come forward, because we're going to close the doors afterwards. So we'll pull the curtain, show you where to do that. Right here is you guys want to just right there pull the curtain for us as we all rise, as we turn again to Aleinu on page 301, as we honor John's memory, as we gaze the Torahs, as we know the values that he spoke in his life that continue to speak to us today. Page 301. You guys can open up for me? There you go.
Aleinu l'shabeach Adam hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo hosamanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo samchelkenu kahem, v'gohor aleinu k'chol hamonam, va'anachnu korim u'nishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malkei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim ve'yosed haaretz u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al u'shchinatu zo b'gavhei meromim hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Efes Ulato Kakatu B'Torato Yadata Hayom V'Hashevota Elevavecha Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim B'Shamayim Ima'al V'Yoretz Mitachat Einod. Kakatuv b'Toratecha Adonai Yimloch le'olam va'ed V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai L'melech al kol haaretz. Vayom hahu, Yihyeh Adonai echad, U'shemo
echad, U'shemo echad. Very good. That's the hardest job you have. You all can head on down. Thank you very much. You're welcome to be seated for a moment if you wish. Just grab this. We let me grab the Siddur back. We turn over to page 302, where you will find Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish. And with Kaddish, we affirm that life is worth living, that John's bright presence will continue to shine through the sadness that we feel, and throughout our lives remain an inspiration for all of us. As you know, those of you who are familiar, the Kaddish is only said in the context of a minyan traditionally, meaning that your community needs to be there with you when you mourn, right? When we rise to mourn, we do it not just by ourselves, we do it with our community around us, our community that embraces us in difficult times, and we affirm God's presence in our lives. Even when we might feel like God's not there in the difficult moments, we remind ourselves that God and community are there for us. So you'll find Kaddish Yatom on page 302, and as we recite it again, we can continue to think about that brightness that John brought to our lives. And we also remember Donald Siegel. As Jeffrey, you mark the 5th day of Shiva for him, as you observe. And there are a couple of yortzites as well today, including Bertha Gaffer, Bertram Lipman, and Milton Feingold. If anyone is watching and reciting from afar, we keep them in our thoughts as well. So invite anyone who'd like to recite Mourner's Kaddish, certainly our family, if you will please rise as we join page 302 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olomei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtavach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei dekudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We end with an important prayer as we ask God again to be with us. Eternal God, who heals the brokenhearted and brings light to homes that are darkened by grief, we thank you for the strength that you've given us in our time of sorrow. Be with us in times of loneliness. Grant us hope in times of despair, and in times of pain, the patience to wait for healing. Teach us to face the future with confidence and to find consolation by reaching out to others around us. Help us to give to all who are dear to us the love which we can no longer give directly to John. May his soul continue to touch us as we move forward through life, and may he know of the love we continue to hold in our hearts. Baruch atah Adonai, somech noflim umatir asurim. We praise you, compassionate God, source of all life and healing, who uplifts the spirits of those who have fallen and grants us the strength we need to face life. And together we say, Amen. we have the opportunity to join together with some food in the back. We thank the family, thank Jimmy for making sure to put that together, and thank Sue and Rhonda, and especially Barry Zander, who couldn't make it through the ice and snow to get here, but was preparing things earlier and making sure it was going. We thank Sue and Rhonda, and again, who else was in the back, I'm not sure, but everybody for pulling together the parking lot, all of the things to make sure that we could be here safely today. Hope everybody will stay and enjoy a little bit of food and share some memories. Glad you guys could make it, believe me.
When he was done, he said, you know, those grandkids are my legacy. And I said, yes, sir, that's what it is. You know, it's not the Wall Street Journal.
Even though